At the end of my speech, my goal is to convince the audience that the death penalty should not be abolished. The death penalty needs to be in the law. Imagine a mother staring into the eyes of the man who brutally ended her child's life, only to be told he will be served time in prison but still be alive. In 2023, there were 5,440 murders in China. More than 6,000 people were killed, but the judiciary final sentence was life imprisonment and sought inner peace for the victims' families. Is this really justice? This issue is not only about the criminals and the courts, it's about us, it's about the safety of our communities. We want to live in a society that protects people, and the future of the death penalty is something we should be thinking about it. I stand before you as someone who has done a lot of research on this topic. I have spent a lot of time understanding the Chinese judicial system. Therefore, I believe this speech will be helpful to you. The death penalty should not be abolished, as it is a necessary tool to deliver justice, deter criminal behavior, and provide comfort to the families of victims. In this speech, I will explain three main reasons why death penalties must be retained. Violent crime rates are rising. The death penalty can be used to deal with the most serious crimes. Second, it provides justice and psychological comfort to the victims and their families. Third, it improves the way the death penalty is carried out and prevents wrongful convictions from happening. One of the major problems we face is the growth of violent crime, which when combined with the abolition of the death penalty, threatens to undermine justice for the most serious crime. Violent crime is increasing and become more brutal. According to the FBI's Uniform Crime Report, in 2022, the United States experienced a 4.3% increase in murders from the previous years, with significant numbers of these cases involving severe violence. Morgan and Trump also reported in 2023 that approximately 65% of violent crime incidents involved the use of a weapon, with 40% lead to a serious physical injury or death. The second subtopic is abolition the death penalties means removing the harshest forms of justice for the most serious crimes. Most victims' families believe that only the death penalties can punish the most serious crimes because, according to a report in 2024 by New York Post, families of 911 victims along with the survivors and the first responders have called for the death penalty for the accused terrorists, asserting that anything less would be inadequate given the gravity of their crimes. Second, according to a report in 2018 by Dayak Dailies, families of high-profile murder victims in Malaysia urged the government not to abolish the death penalties. They emphasized that removing the capital punishment would weaken the legal system's deterrent effect and potentially lead to an increase in serious crimes, advocating for the retention of strict laws to protect the public. Recognizing the serious harms that may be caused by abolishing the death penalty, we obviously should not abolish the death penalties. Instead, we should work hard to strengthen and improve the application of the death penalties to ensure judicial fairness and justice. Solutions. Instead of abolishing the death penalties, countries around the world should reform and improve its implementations to ensure fair trials, prevent wrongful convictions, and uphold justice for the most heinous crimes. Implement stricter legal standards and modern forensic techniques to minimize the risk of wrongful executions. Innocent Project revealed it in 2023. DNA testing has led to the exonerations of 375 wrongfully convicted individuals in the United States, 21 of whom had been on death row. This suggests that by improving forensic techniques and evidence review, we can reduce the risk of executing innocent people without abolishing the death penalty altogether. National Registry of Exonerations and also reported in 2021, advances in forensic science have contributed to the exonerations of more than 2,800 wrongfully convicted people in the US, many of whom were originally facing the death sentence. We should not abolish the death penalties, but limit the use of the death penalties to the most egregious and undeniable cases, such as terrorism, homicide, or crime against children. The first evidence is in 2018. The United Nations Human Rights Committee issued General Comment No. 36, reaffirmed that death sentence should only apply to the most serious crime, defined strictly as intentional killings. Second, Article 6 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights states that the death penalty must be reserved for the most serious crimes, namely crimes involving the intentional killings. The United Nations Human Rights Committee has repeatedly emphasized this interpretation. Having explored the problems and solutions surrounding the death penalties, it is also important to recognize the benefits that a well-regulated death penalty system can bring to society. So, benefits. A properly regulated death penalty system has important benefits, including providing justice for victims and acting as a deterrent for the most serious crimes. The death penalties provide justice and comfort to the victims' families. There is a non-profit independent organization called DPIC, collected the real voices of the victims' families. It includes a large number of public statements made by the victims' family. Some of the family clearly stated that the death penalty brought them a real sense of justice and psychological comfort. One family member said, "Any other verdict except the death penalty is an insult to the lives of our loved ones." In 2018, Marian Olmo compared to the recovery of victims' families in Texas with the death penalty and Minnesota without the death penalties. The result shows the families who experienced the executions scored higher on sense of justice, psychological recovery, and closure. The death penalties can help families regain a sense of justice and emotional peace after unimaginable losses. The death penalty can serve as a deterrent to extremely serious crimes. Harsh and profound. Each execution prevents an average of 18 murders in 2003. They used data from 1977 to 1996 and a complex econometric model to control for variables. The authors concluded that the death penalties has a deterrent effect on serious crimes. In 2003, Morgan and Gittes also concluded through an empirical analysis that for every execution, approximately 5 murders can be prevented. They also point out even community death sentence to the life imprisonment would lead to an increase in murder rates, suggesting that the death penalties has a clear deterrent effect. The death penalties should not be abolished because it delivers justice to victims and their families, deters the most severe crimes, and protects society from dangerous individuals who would otherwise to continue pose a threat. To summarize, we have discussed several crucial reasons why the death penalties should not be abolished. First, justice and closure for the victims' families. The death penalties provides a sense of justice and closure to the families of victims, helping them to heal and find peace. Second, deterrence of crime. Evidence suggests that the death penalties acts as a deterrent, reducing the occurrence of particularly heinous crimes like murder by creating a fear of severe punishment. Protection for society. By permanently removing the dangerous criminals from society, the death penalties ensures that these individuals can no longer pose a threat to the public. Justice is not about revenge, it's about balance, and sometimes, to truly protect the innocent and honor the victims, the ultimate penalty is the only answer. That's all. Thank you for your watching and listening.